Welcome back to another countdown, and today, by special request, it's time to talk about players with a reputation for being total and complete dirtbags, aka jerks, prima donnas, villains, or of course the most popular phrase,
he's an asshole.
They are oftentimes players who could not behave themselves on or off the field and created headaches for front offices who sometimes felt, despite solid productivity, it was best to just trade them. Of course, I don't personally know any of these players, so I'm just going to go by reputation, word of mouth, and actual incidents that we can talk about. But there is no doubt the sport has had its fair share of figures whose antics and volatile personalities turned off teammates, opponents, coaches, media, and fans. I'm not including some players whose reputation was fine until they committed some horrible crime. Many of them are obviously terrible human beings, but this is more about just straight up unpleasant personalities and troublemakers, not necessarily players who committed actual crimes, although some of them will be in this video. I did do a video already about ex-MLB players who served prison time. I'll link that one at the end. And I'll also link my top clubhouse cancers video, some of whom will also be on today's list, but the subtle difference is the players today didn't just offend their teammates, but almost everyone they came into contact with as well. So let's get into today's list of 10 of the most unpleasant personalities and dirtbags to have played Major League Baseball. Number 10, Manny Machado. Machado's reputation as a dirtbag stems mainly from on-field moments. In 2014, after an inside pitch, he swung at the next pitch and intentionally threw his bat onto the field, leading to benches clearing and a suspension. He's also had several plays where he initiated hard or dangerous slides into second base, such as this one in 2018 when he injured Dustin Pedroia. Later in his career, he appeared to intentionally kick first baseman Jesus Aguilar while running down the first base line, an action that again led to benches clearing and Christian Yelich calling Machado a dirty player.
He's a player that has a history of those types of incidents. One time's an accident, repeated over and over and over again. You're just a dirty player. It's a dirty play by a dirty player.
He has also pissed off his own fan base a few times. Before the 2019 season even started, Machado tried to set realistic expectations for his new team by saying maybe the Padres could win a wild card. But that's not what fans want to hear before a season even begins.
But we're going to try to win, maybe not the division, but we're going to go out there and fight for a wild card spot.
Even worse, after Ken Rosenthal asked him about not hustling in an important playoff game, he responded that he's just not that type of player. He's not going to be Johnny Hustle and run down the line hard. That's just not my personality. That's not my cup of tea, he said. Over the past 5 years, his controversies have slowed down a little bit, although there was the 2024 incident when during a heated Dodgers-Padres playoff game, he threw the ball towards the Dodger dugout with some extra heat on it, nearly hitting Dave Roberts in the face.
It was unsettling. There was intent behind it, and that was very bothersome. It's pretty disrespectful.
And of course, who can forget the famous Tatis Machado argument in the dugout when Machado got on Tatis for dwelling on a strikeout for too long. He might be a nice guy off the field, but on the field, Machado might be one of the bigger dirtbags in MLB history. Number 9, Barry Bonds. As a Giants fan, I hate to add the great Barry Bonds to the list, but there's just too much here to leave him off. As someone who grew up as the son of an MLB star and the godson of an MLB legend, while also being incredibly skilled at the game, it's understandable he might have a slight ego, but Barry took it to a whole new level. His attitude was a problem even going back to college when he played for Arizona State. According to one Sun Devil teammate, he had the ability to get under somebody's skin and just not care. We could lose 10-2 and he would let us know that at least he'd done his job. He would arrive late to practice, miss the bus to away games, take batting practice with little effort, and never try to throw out a guy at home from the outfield because he didn't want scouts to see that he didn't have the best arm. In the big leagues, his difficult and standoffish attitude towards the media and teammates became widely known. More stories have come out since his playing days, such as him rejecting an autograph request from fellow MLB star Chipper Jones. Here's Joe Buck explaining the first time that he met Barry Bonds.
Person's like, come on, I'll introduce you. And so he gets out of the cage and Don Baylor goes, Barry, this is one of our radio announcers, Joe Buck, Jack Buck, this is his kid. And Barry's like, so? It's like, okay, I had my hand out, and that was it.
He was being booed by non-Giants fans even before news broke that he had connections to Balco, a supplement company that supplied steroids to athletes. After that, fans booed him relentlessly until, of course, he crushed the ball 450 feet, and then they all cheered. Number 8, Ty Cobb. While his reputation for being a hardcore racist and a monster was largely sensationalized by post-mortem biographers like sports writer Al Stump, Ty Cobb was definitely known for being a difficult, short-tempered individual throughout his career. He had an abrasive personality, intense aggressiveness on the field, and a documented involvement in physical altercations. Cobb was a fierce competitor with a quick temper, and he often clashed with teammates, opponents, umpires, and fans. He was so disliked that only a few players from his era attended his funeral. A notorious incident occurred in 1912 when he jumped into the stands to beat a heckling fan, an act that led to a 10-day suspension. He was also arrested and fined for other assaults, including pistol whipping a butcher's assistant. His win-at-all-costs mentality made him a hyper-aggressive player even for his day, and he would slide into bases with his sharpened spikes raised high, injuring many opposing players. He didn't embrace the public or sign autographs very often like Babe Ruth did, which made him an even bigger villain in the eyes of many. But Ty Cobb was a complicated individual, and although he wasn't the one-dimensional monster portrayed in many books and media such as Ken Burns' Baseball, he definitely earned his reputation as an unpleasant fella. Number 7, Roger Clemens. He was without a doubt one of the greatest pitchers to ever live, but throughout his career, Clemens developed a reputation for being difficult with fans and media. There were reports of him refusing to sign autographs for charity and receiving special treatment from teams, such as not being required to travel with the team on road trips if he wasn't pitching, which drew criticism from some teammates. His Toronto Blue Jays manager, Cito Gaston, did not mince words. He is an asshole himself, a complete asshole. I would say that loud right to his face. It is all about him, nobody else but him. He had off-the-field issues as well, such as a reported affair with country singer Mindy McCready that may have begun when she was just a teenager and he was a 28-year-old married man. But if one incident proves that the guy is an unstable jerk, we have to back up to the year 2000 when Clemens hit catcher Mike Piazza in the head with a fastball, causing a concussion. And later that year, during Game 2 of the World Series, a broken bat from Piazza landed near the mound. Clemens picked up the jagged piece and threw it hard in Piazza's direction as he ran to first base, an act widely condemned as psychopathic and bizarre. His alleged use of PEDs and subsequent denial under oath hasn't helped his reputation either. Overall, Clemens had to land on this list as one of the biggest jerks in MLB history. Number 6, Dave Kingman. MLB slugger Dave Kingman is remembered by many fans as an all-or-nothing power hitter who crushed 442 career home runs, but also struck out a lot and hit for a low batting average. Pretty much your average hitter in 2025, but many who knew Kingman remember him as a huge jerk. He was known for his hostile interactions with the media and had a reputation for being a difficult and distant teammate. In 1986, he apparently sent Susan Fornoff a live rat packaged in a corsage box with a tag that said, "My name is Sue." Teammates described his personality as a tree trunk, and others mentioned that the guys have had enough of him by the time he was traded. There was also accounts of him being rude to fans, such as telling a 9-year-old boy asking for an autograph to F off. He was so disliked that after hitting more home runs than anyone else in the league from 1984 to 1986, suddenly no team would sign him. He had just smashed 35 home runs with 94 RBIs and had to settle for a minor league deal. It's possible that teams colluded not to sign him in order to prevent him from hitting the magic 500 home runs, which at that time pretty much guaranteed a spot in Cooperstown. Number 5, Rogers Hornsby. Coming in at number 5 is a Hall of Famer and 2-time MVP who was apparently hated as a player and manager. Rogers Hornsby wanted nothing to do with his teammates, having no interest in hanging out after games, but stories indicate he wasn't just an introvert. He apparently had an abrasive personality and was just mean and nasty with everyone. Hornsby once said, "Baseball is my life. It's the only thing I know and care about." In 1926, the Cardinals traded him to the Giants, where he hit .361 and had an OPS over 1,000, and the Giants traded him after one season anyway. Then he hit an incredible .387 for the Boston Braves. After 1 year, they traded him too. After his career, he became a manager and was fired several times. He was let go by the 32 Cubs in the middle of the season, and the Cubs went on to win the pennant. The players voted against him receiving a share of the extra earnings. Hornsby also had off-the-field issues, including gambling addictions and various lawsuits against him, one for knocking over an elderly man with his car in 1919. In a biography about Hornsby, Charles Alexander wrote, "Hornsby never seemed to understand that by itself, brilliance in his chosen field just wasn't enough. To survive, prosper, and keep others' respect, he would also have to accommodate himself to what others thought and felt." It seems that the bottom line is that Rogers Hornsby was one of the greatest players of all time and also one of the biggest jerks in the history of the game. Number 4, Lenny Dykstra. There is more than enough dirt on Lenny Dykstra and his behavior that an entire documentary could and probably has been made. Most of his biggest legal issues came after retirement, and he has a lengthy history of financial fraud, legal troubles, and personal misconduct. Just a few examples include bankruptcy fraud, grand theft auto, indecent exposure, drug possession, terroristic threats, allegations of sexual assault, theft, bad checks, unpaid debts, and missed rent payments. He admitted in his book to having paid private investigators to dig up dirt on MLB umpires during his career in order to get a more favorable strike zone. He was also called out by Ron Darling, who said Dykstra hurled racist taunts at Red Sox pitcher Oil Can Boyd during the '86 World Series. In 1991, Dykstra drove drunk with a teammate, Darren Dalton, and crashed the vehicle, seriously injuring both players. He also had wild eccentricities, such as demanding a new uniform mid-game after a couple bad at-bats. He also spit so much tobacco onto the grass in center field, it annoyed the opposing center fielders. "There's so much tobacco juice out there, you could get cancer. It's like a toxic waste dump," said Andy Van Slyke. To top it all off, Dykstra was named in the 2007 Mitchell Report as a steroid user, and this was one of his more forgivable offenses. Number 3, Elijah Dukes. An extremely talented athlete, Elijah Dukes lettered in all 3 major sports in high school and was drafted in the 3rd round by the Tampa Bay Rays. He showed great potential in the minors, but was also quickly dubbed the Mozart of assholes. His dad was in prison for murder, and his mom was a drug addict, so Dukes did not get the guidance he needed growing up, and it tragically showed in his adult life. During his first 3 years in the Rays minor league system, Dukes played well, but also fathered at least 5 children with 4 women. He was arrested for both battery and assault and was suspended multiple times for altercations with teammates, coaches, and umpires. During his first MLB season, Dukes sent a photo of a gun to his wife's phone along with a profanity-laced message threatening the lives of her and their children. Dukes homered in his first big league at-bat and then again the next day, but that offseason the Rays traded him to the Nationals, who actually hired a former police officer to look over the young player. He played well for the Nats, and his behavior improved, but there were still incidents, such as when he had to be restrained from going after pitcher Mike Pelfrey. He then stuck his tongue out at the crowd, waved his arms, and blew kisses to the chorus of boos. He was released during 2010 spring training and played 1 more year in the independent leagues, where he continued to show his talent by hitting .366 with a 1007 OPS. But no big league team was interested, and Dukes retired. Since that point, he's been arrested several more times on various charges, as recently as 2021. Number 2, Milton Bradley. Milton Bradley was a very talented ball player, but he was such a jerk and a troublemaker that he ended up playing for 8 teams in 12 years. With the Expos organization, he got suspended in the minor leagues for starting a fight after getting hit by a pitch. Then, after a trade to the Indians, he got pulled over for speeding, refused the ticket, and sped away without permission, and he got locked up for 3 days. He was constantly getting into fights with opponents and teammates, oftentimes refused to hustle on the field and run out pop-ups and grounders, and he eventually got banned from Cleveland's training camp and traded to the Dodgers. After that, he got ejected from a game and threw a bag of baseballs onto the field, throwing a few into the crowd, giving them some souvenirs. There were more run-ins with fans, police, opponents, and teammates, to the point that he was forced to attend anger management training. His blowouts against umpires were so animated, he even tore an ACL during an argument in 2007. Bradley signed with the Rangers for the 2008 season, and during one game, Royals play-by-play announcer Ryan Lefevre had a few negative thoughts on Bradley, which caused Bradley to storm out of the Rangers clubhouse and climb up 4 flights of stairs with the intention of kicking his ass. Bradley ended up with the Cubs and quickly wore out his welcome there after publicly criticizing the team and the fans. They suspended him, then traded him to Seattle. Then he made more headlines for abandoning his property in Chicago without paying rent. With the Mariners, it was more of the same, including multiple ejections and fights, getting booed, flipping off Rangers fans, getting arrested for making threats against a woman, and getting suspended for bumping an umpire. After his career, he's been charged multiple times for domestic violence, and in 2018 was charged with spousal battery and sentenced to 36 months of probation and 52 weeks of domestic violence counseling. Number 1, Hal Chase. But coming in at number 1 is Hal Chase, an excellent player when he wanted to be, but he was a degenerate gambler involved in almost every major scandal in the early days of the game, and it turned everyone off. He didn't get along with teammates. He ignored coaches and managers. He skipped practices and games, and in 1910 led his then manager George Stallings to threaten to quit if Chase was not released. He was known as a selfish prima donna and a disruptive force in the clubhouse. The Yankees traded him to the White Sox, and then he jumped into the newly formed Federal League, which angered White Sox management and AL president Ban Johnson. Chase later returned to play with the Reds, and their manager, former Giant great Christy Mathewson, noticed he wasn't always giving it his best on the field. In fact, it looked like he was intentionally throwing the games. The first baseman would lack hustle to get to the bag on certain occasions, and he had a way of making throws look errant that he should have caught. He also made uncharacteristic base running blunders and mental mistakes, such as missing obvious signs. According to his teammate, he was the best first baseman I ever saw, and he was also the worst if he wanted to lose a game. You could tell after an inning or two whether he was there to win or lose. Hal Chase is widely considered one of the most disliked and dishonest players in Major League Baseball history, and was effectively run out of the sport after being linked to the 1919 Black Sox scandal and other instances of corruption. And so he comes in as the number 1 dirtbag in MLB history. But let me know your thoughts. I know there are a ton more, and I considered so many more. And if you want to hear about more, I did a video on the top 10 clubhouse cancers as well as an MLB felon at each position. So check those videos out as well. You guys have a fantastic day. Hit that thumbs up and the subscribe button. I appreciate the support, and we will talk to y'all in the next one.